Dee.
We're two divorced.
Well, I'm still separated.
Okay. Working parents.
We talk about all the things you get to deal with when your marriage ends, like
Co-parenting.
dating,
Running a household all by yourself.
how early is too early for a good hard drink,
Or a glass of wine. And how do you keep it all together after everything fell apart?
This is
Demarried Life. I am glad that this is audio because I had a shower. I didn't get a chance to shower today until 5:30. And I dried my hair in my car on the highway on the way here with the windows open.
I didn't shower today or yesterday.
Okay, well, at least I had the consideration to shower. We are here with Ryder from Ryder and Lisa in the Mornings on Play 107 in Edmonton, Alberta, who is a morning radio DJ, but not just a morning radio DJ. He is also a divorced person, but proud of it.
That's quite an intro, hey?
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
I haven't gotten one that direct so far.
Yeah, well, we figure let's just get right to it. That's what we're all here to talk about. So the thing that I heard about you though was that you're good at divorcing. So it's like a skill. It's like a resume, kind of like, I radio DJ, like friendly with people and
Divorce God.
Divorce God. Yes, exactly.
Put it in your bio.
It's going
So-
to be in the bio. Yeah, it's on my resume.
Can you give us a little backstory on how that happened? How you got known that way?
I guess I just really wanted to, every step along the way, be a good person, respect my ex-wife, and hope that I would get that in return. So that is a base for going into something, knowing that you want to take care of the other person any way you can, really helped, I guess, navigate through some of the tricky conversations and situations.
So how did you then, with that life experience, become sort of a beacon for people? Because people have sort of been, I know this has happened to me, Dee, I don't know if it's happened to you. People start getting sent your way. Like, oh, she's been through that. He's been through that. You should go talk to them. So did that start happening to you?
Yeah, for sure. When I opened up on the air about it, which probably would have been a year after things were finalized, it seemed like people could tell that I was doing good, that I had my head wrapped around it. And with radio, one of the cool parts of it is our listeners really get to know us more so than we get to know them. It's kind of a one-way friendship, which I definitely appreciate. So people felt comfortable reaching out to me as a friend. And it was great for me because then I didn't have any past personality traits of theirs or their partner. I could just really be impartial and give some advice that worked for me, and they could take it if it worked for them or leave it.
So what was some of that advice that worked for you?
I have an 8-year-old daughter, so she would have been about 4 at the time of the split. The number one goal was to make sure that she could have a great relationship with me, her mom, and that her mom and I could have a good working relationship no matter what. So that was my advice, was if you leave your ego at the door and put your kids' priorities first as much as you can. Obviously, you got to prioritize yourself a lot in those situations as well. But that I guess that would be my main goal.
Kind of like running a business, co-parenting.
Yeah.
It's like the business of raising kids. And if you can't figure out how to get past your personal history or your issues and get on the same page, it's really hard to make that work.
You're going bankrupt, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Tits up.
What was it like for you as a public persona to come forward and make that step and bring that part of your life into your public persona? What was that like?
Why did you choose to talk about it on the air?
Well, I think you almost have to eventually, with how much we talk about our personal lives and how much we're talking and being real. The goal is to connect with people, and a lot of people have gone through this. So I felt I could use it as an opportunity to connect with some of my listeners as well. It was a pretty easy decision that I eventually had to talk about it. I wanted to make sure I respected my ex through that for when she was ready to have it go public as well. And it seemed like the time I gave it was a sign of respect on my part. And then by the time I talked about it, most of the wounds were healing, if not healed. So it made it a more respectful situation.
So did you have to go through the I'm sorry parade? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and like one of the big things was I felt going through the divorce, one of the big hurdles I had to get over was just it was a failure. I was a failure. Nobody in my immediate family had been through it. So I was worried about the family name and what people would say. We grew up in a small town where everybody knows each other's business. And I was worried the conversations mom would have to have and all that, just constantly feeling like a bit of a failure. So then you take it publicly as well and have to try to mask some of that pain by telling everybody you're all right and trying to reassure people that it was for the right reasons and those kinds of things. So yeah, it was ongoing. It was a couple of years straight where I felt like that was the only conversations I was having.
Is there a little bit of exhaustion from all of that? Is there a point you just want to stop being the divorced guy, or are you on your?
Well, that's how you introduced him.
Yeah, exactly.
Radio personality.
Now I'm feeling guilty. I'm going.
Person.
Did I compartmentalize you in a box that's very small and tight and that you want to get out of?
Yes.
Or have you been enjoying your divorce guru trajectory?
I guess somewhere in between those two things.
It's elevated your public image.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
I mean, there is a good opportunity there to show people that it doesn't have to be terrible. It's still going to be really shitty at times, but that it doesn't have to be as bad as you can make it if you choose to take that path. So yeah, I feel good about it now. I mean, like I said, it's almost been 5 years. So it feels like the wounds are healed and I can just kind of embrace who I am now rather than having that so closely attached with what I felt I was.
I'm trying to imagine some of the things that I did in that first crazy phase when it's first happening and you're first separated. No one knew who I was, thank God.
Yeah.
What's it like to go through? Maybe you didn't go through that phase, the immediate sort of you're in chaos phase. What's that like when you have people that might be watching and recognizing you? Yeah.
And on top of that, because social media is such a big part of our job, my personal life was really splashed all over social media. So I had to deal with people being surprised because I hadn't been talking about being single. If they saw me on a dating app.
You're suddenly a cheater. You're that nasty cheater.
And I had people like messaging me saying, I'm pretty sure I saw your wife dancing with a guy. This is months and months after the split.
Yeah, that's super awkward.
So to have some of those conversations then, like, no, you know what? I guess we got to talk about this now. And then you spill your beans on the whole situation again.
So are you naturally rational and clear-headed, or did you have to push back against some really angry or sad or anything sort of that you knew if you had followed through would have compromised the quality of your well thought out divorce?
Mm-hmm. I would say that I was off to a pretty good start with where I was at, trusting who I was and trying to make the best decisions and trusting that I'd get there eventually. Trying to respond to things rather than react was always a big one. But then I took a program right in the middle of it called the Hoffman process, which I heard described as like 3 years of therapy in 8 days.
That sounds painful. That sounds physically painful.
It was insane and awesome, and I needed it. And I came back with a really clear head. And at that point, I wasn't sure which way it was going to go. At that point, I was definitely leaning that we were both leaning that it wasn't going to work.
So this was something before the split, was before you both decided it was done?
Yeah. And
okay. So wait, no, I thought it was physically painful before when it was just you and you're with your partner.
We didn't go. No, this was a solo.
Thank God.
So
what is terrible.
What is this process?
So it just really digs into who you are, what makes you up, how long you've been holding on to things you didn't even realize were part of your personality traits, what your parents taught you that they didn't want to, or taught you that they shouldn't have at a young age. And it just really dives into everything you are. So I really wanted to have a clear head as I'm going into what was one of the biggest decisions of my life for sure, and be the best I could be for that. And that, I think that program 1,000 times over for how well my side's been able to navigate through the divorce. And in turn, because I've shown so much respect to my ex-wife, that she's been terrific through it all too. And I think it's just because we were both in a better mind space, I guess, than most. My whole family had taken the course over a duration of about 10 years, and they all got a lot out of it. And we're kind of waiting for me to open up if I was dealing with some things or hurting in a way. And I think they always just thought I was doing fine. And then when that hit, I took the opportunity to go and take the course as well. So yeah, I would say like a good suggestion for anybody that's going through it is obviously have a therapist. It's pretty smart to have somebody that's non-biased that you can vent to, that isn't spending their time bashing your ex or trying to lead you in a direction that they want they think that you want. It's just having somebody to bounce things off of is pretty important. So I got to do just a lot of that for a week.
And don't use someone you met on Tinder and on a first date with as a therapist. Would you agree with that? That's happened to me. Yeah. And it's not fun. It's prevalent. Yeah, it's a thing. It's like a therapist costs this much. If I buy this girl one drink, it costs this much.
I can tell her all my problems.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So thank you for not doing that. Thank you for bringing it.
Bonus points if she is a therapist and it's in her bio, then it's like, cha-ching.
That's like me when I need to fix my house. I'm like, construction, carpenters.
I saw a good tweet about that saying, I've got to move this weekend, so I'm going to be really active on Tinder.
Oh, look at those muscles. Can you just pick this box up and maybe just put it in my truck?
Right.
I have a question. You mentioned that no one in your family had really gone through this before, so you felt a little bit like a fish out of water. And you did mention that you spoke to a therapist, but I was curious to know, who else you were able to reach out to or lean on during that time. Did you have friends that you felt comfortable opening up to, or was that, I know the experience of some men that I've known, they kind of keep that all kind of internalized and they don't even really like to tell their friends what's been going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was pretty inner with it, other than a couple friends. And my mom started, I think, figuring things out, that it was pretty rocky. And she kept on telling my brothers to reach out to me.
That's funny. I like that.
Mother's intuition.
The orchestration in the background, always. Totally. Yeah.
So finally, when I got a chance to open up with my brother, and I think it was like the first night that I was staying at my friend's place out of the home, which was obviously a pretty tough night. Mm-hmm. And it was just so good to spill everything.
Wow. So you didn't tell anybody until you were out of the house?
Close to that. Yeah. Like I had a couple friends that I know from Edmonton, including my co-host. And I had two co-hosts at the time. So both of them were fairly aware of what was going on, but they didn't know my family. So I was able to detach who knew pretty easily. And then when the fam found out, obviously the support system grew and I felt a little more comfortable talking to some more people that I needed to talk to. I have a great group of friends and none of them had dealt with this. I mean, I think I would have been 32, 33 at the time. So pretty young.
Mm-hmm. Some people are just getting married then. And here you are breaking the seal, reminding them of the next phase. Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, and sometimes you don't want to share with your family until you're absolutely positively sure that this is for real, because you don't want them, their opinion changing of someone who you potentially, it's not set in stone yet.
They start doing all the bashing and then you're like, oh wait, we're not splitting. Right. Now they hate your guts. Yeah. It's all ruined. Yeah.
Yeah. I leaned on.
Sorry, Dee is very loudly pouring a glass of wine. Did you hear that?
I should have opened this.
Glug.
I heard it was a twist off too, the expensive kind.
Yeah. We're fancy like that. We're lucky it's not in a box, really.
I'm very thankful for my friends, and there's a few of them that definitely got different versions of what was happening just based on where I was at mentally with the situation and how much whiskey I had before we had our chats. But yeah, I'm just very thankful I had them and my family to lean on.
Forgive me if I'm incorrect. Do you have some kind of a forum that you're involved in or something online?
Yeah, I'm a part of a Facebook group called Positive Uncoupling, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
And for the most part, it stays pretty good, but you kind of I end up getting people back on track, remembering that they're there to be positive. I see that happen a lot too with people that just reach out to me for advice. I'll try to help them. And then I realize there's a lot more going on there that I'm unaware of and that we're just in different places. Like mine seems easy compared to some of the things they're trying to go through. And I don't like to give advice unless I feel like it can be beneficial. And when you don't know people's situation, that makes it a little tricky. But yeah, there's some really good stuff on there. It's just kind of an open forum for people to ask questions, to lead on people that are, year 4 after the divorce, or what they should be asking their lawyer during, if it goes to that, or the benefits of mediation rather than lawyering up. And so I definitely leaned on it and found it positive to be able to reach out and ask a couple questions, get different people's opinions. But now I feel like I'm kind of in more of a stable position where I can help answer some of the questions.
And what do you think are the sort of top 3 questions that you see coming up in that group or in the other people that come to you? Sort of the top things that you're like, okay, I pretty much have a prefab answer for this because I've been asked this so many times.
Yeah, I think meeting the new partner is a big one. And
for the kids, you mean? Or
no, I think it's quite often I get that, like, people know that my ex's boyfriend and I get along well now too, my daughter's stepdad. And that's been mentioned on the show a few times. So people will reach out to me on that. And I see that one come up a lot. Just, should I have a relationship with this person? What can I do to make sure that everybody's cool in that situation? So I guess that's one that pops up with the kids. And it's the amount of time spent sharing, what kind of schedules work the best.
Mm-hmm.
The week on, week off thing seems like it would be too hard for me. We kind of do every second day, and then the weekends are usually split. I'll take her for, both days of the weekend, and then the next weekend she'll be at her mom's. But I need to see her every second day. I don't think I could go a week without. That comes up quite a bit.
Schedules are a tricky beast. It's really tricky, especially if you have new partners.
Right.
And then they have kids who then have new partners on the other side. And they've got, it's just a chain where everyone needs to get on the same schedule. It's like there's a calendar required and with a lot of highlighters and stuff.
I can't imagine how difficult it must be for people that have such a negative split that they can't have proper conversations with each other about how to make things like schedules work. It would just be so difficult to fight through that. So I'm blessed that has never been the case. We've always put Charlie, my daughter, first, and that seems to work pretty good for those things.
And do you think that was like a conversation you guys had initially about like, let's keep this clean and fair, or did that just the natural evolution of your relationship?
Yeah, I think it was a priority for both of us to make sure that our daughter had a good relationship with both her mom and I. I remember saying to my ex-wife, like in a heated conversation, that just know that I won't spend any time bashing you to people that I know care about you and that you care about. That's not what this is about. And I just remember she was very pleased to hear that. That was a big backpack of weight. And for her, I felt bad just because a lot of our mutual friends were my friends that I grew up with. So I knew that she was losing a big chunk of her peer group. And I felt terrible about that. But I just knew guys that I've known since I was 2 years old, if they're going to invite somebody to the slow pitch tournament, it's going to be me rather than my ex. So for her to at least know that I wasn't going to be going there and running my mouth about why we broke up or any of that.
And showing that consideration and that empathy for the other person's position, I think goes a long way.
Yeah. And I overheard that she had defended me once when somebody was bashing me in front of her from another mutual friend. And that's always just meant a lot to me too, that she was repaying that favor. So I think we both just have had a shitload of respect for each other as much as we could in this situation. And if I could recommend anything, it would be to try to find those things that you do respect about the person and focus on those. Like, my ex is a very organized person, and that helps so much with planning, the scheduling and things like we were talking about. So just always really appreciative of what she brings to the table that my personality is not good.
You thank her for doing the schedule?
I haven't. Now that you asked that, I don't think I've flat out thanked her for that.
Okay, note to everyone, if you've got someone taking care of your scheduling, thank them, because that is not an easy thing.
It's not.
Not easy. And it's not fun. No one likes to do it.
All right. That's a good reminder.
That's what we do here. We're just chatting just so we can come and nag you.
We brought you on here so we could punish you on the air.
Your accent
and then
here.
share it with all your listeners.
But do you think also part of the positive nature of your split, and if you don't want to answer, of course you don't have to, did you end it before it got really, 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 really bad? You know, some people wait till the bitter end and then you hate each other.
Yeah, I do think that was the case.
Probably the alternative too, if you stay together, is their guilt there and you start having arguments, right?
Exactly.
So I think either way, you know, you're hooped.
Yeah, no, I think that absolutely was one of the things that we grew apart. She was working a lot of evenings and I was working mornings. And in the afternoons, I napped. And all of a sudden, we just lived two completely separate lives. But there was nothing that we, either of us, found particularly wrong about how that person was living. It was more so just we grew apart. And then when we tried to come back together, it just didn't really seem to make sense anymore. We were different people. And
well, I can say too, from experience as someone who had a way more dramatic and acrimonious split, it's still possible to do positive, to have a really positive relationship with your ex and manage the co-parenting schedule and not speak ill of each other. And like, it can be done.
is there certain questions that you feel can go unanswered, or do you feel you have to iron everything out?
Yeah. And for me, that was letting go of that some things, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. What happened in the past doesn't matter. All that matters now is I called it a business before, and I see it that way, of raising our kids that will always be his and mine. And so the only thing that's left that matters is making sure that they're taken care of and they're happy and they're thriving. Who cares? Who cares what went down?
Right.
But I know that can be easier said than done. And obviously I didn't feel that way the day after it happened. but it takes time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, and I know from the other way of where everything looks like it's super smooth that wore on my daughter a little bit, where she's like, well, if everybody gets along so well, why does this have to be the situation? Like, I don't know if kids kind of want to see
Yeah, they need to see the bloodshed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. My kids didn't see anything and they're like, well, I don't get it. And I was like, well, trust me, just because you weren't sitting in the front row, things were happening, and just trust us that we know what's best in this situation. But it's like, yeah, if you're not screaming and slamming doors and all that stuff in front of them, then to them, it's like, oh, I didn't notice anything was wrong.
But it's also pretty heartbreaking when your kids are like, yeah, we kind of saw that coming.
I don't know which is worse, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were hoping that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that the line that I know we always come back to is just, we're better friends than we were a married couple. And I genuinely consider her to be, my ex-wife, to be a great friend. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd get quite that glowing of a reference, but I think it would be in a similar ballpark anyway.
Yeah, friendly. It's a friendly relationship.
Yeah, there was a good quote. Well, it's still a good quote, but from what's his nuts, Gropey masturbate in front of other comics, Louis C.K. Used to love him, and he had this great quote that no happy marriage ended in divorce, right? So it's not a happy marriage that you suddenly divorced for absolutely no reason. Like, it was a thing that needed to be addressed.
Totally.
So good quote, bad life choices. In your situation, as you've been successfully navigating and now you've come out the other side, I think we're all sort of in a similar place where we sort of found that equilibrium post-divorce and are living the next phase of life. What would you say to those people that are in the thick of it right now? Like, from our perspective, we're sort of like time travelers in a way. What would you say to those people?
Get a dog. Especially if you're splitting time with kids and you're not allergic to one. I was having terrible panic attacks whenever my daughter would get picked up. And I'd watch her drive away, and it just felt like my core was just to protect her and father her, and what now? And I felt very empty in an empty house, and all of that was building up into some just real deep sadness that I hadn't felt before. And I'm not afraid to embrace that, but if you can find something that takes away that pain in a healthy way, I say go for it. And I got a dog and it was gone. She got picked up and it was still sad, but it just wasn't knowing that there was someone or something that needed me to have those natural instincts of mine to protect and care for and walk and feed and
pick up poop in a bag.
Yeah, exactly. It's silly, but it's absolutely true. So that was a big one for me, for just my mental health. Embracing some of the feelings you're going through. It's like, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to drink a bottle of wine and cry. It's okay to feel. It's such a tough situation to go through. So because of that program I went on, I was really in a good space to embrace some of those feelings and not be afraid of them. And I know that helped me end up just naturally having better feelings and being more positive about things a lot sooner than maybe I would have.
Can you teach workshops or something? I feel like we could just send people your way, take care of so much unrest and strife that people are having. You're just so together.
Yeah. You're definitely not the first man I've heard talk about the loneliness especially when the child or children go to the other parent's house, the loneliness and anxiety that can ensue. And I know that for myself, I was I think you put it perfectly. You're like, I'm going to miss out on half of their life because they're going to spend half their time, in most situations, they're going to spend half of their time with that other parent. And, you kind of have to just grieve that. It's sad,
right?
Feeling like you're not going to be there for all those moments. And it's hard to believe that your children can, thrive or be happy without you, without you being there.
How dare you be okay without that?
Yeah. How dare you be all right? And I'll just be over here. But it's funny, but when it came back to the loneliness thing, I actually haven't really heard any moms describe that.
Oh, I went crazy. It's just the first Saturday or Sunday you have when you don't have the kids there and you're no longer with a partner, and it's like, whoa, what do I do? And it was every option. I could paint my room. I could go for a hike. I could read this book. I could write a book. I could watch a movie. I could make a movie. And then finally just kind of laying in the bed going, oh.
I think I went to Walmart by myself
to shop without a child.
Yeah. And I was like, well, this will be good because I'm definitely going to have a good experience going to Walmart.
Right.
By myself.
I'm going to hit every department and look at every single aisle and every item, and no one's going to stop me.
Yeah. But it's like I preloaded the day. I remember the day too. I preloaded the day with stuff I knew was going to stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do before without being aggravated.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. So that I could feel good about that. And it would take away a bit of that. But for me, it wasn't maybe loneliness so much as just being sad.
Yes, the sadness. Then that's probably what I was running from. It was just, it's a thing. And then eventually you realize there are some upsides to having some time to do the things you need to do. Like now, we have 5 children between us. We don't live together. So there's 5 children and they're not here right now. Right. And it's very quiet. There's chickens, but there are no children. And that there are some parents who are together and happily married who would kill for that.
A lot of parents.
Well, I know for sure that I am a better dad after the breakup than I was during, because I needed to prioritize it. It became one of the only things I could prioritize. And I just put myself into it and realized how much that gave my daughter and how much I got out of that. The quality time we spend together. I remember back when I was married, if my daughter was whining or whatever, it was always like, well, it's your turn. It's almost like just lean on the other person, and you'd end up, it's kind of like letting the dog out at night. It's a paper, rock, scissors game of who's going to deal with it. Whereas now I just get the opportunity to be so present with her. So I'm very thankful for that. I mean, I look back at the last 4 or 5 years and we've just been best friends rolling together. And I've been very present for that. So definitely proud of that. That's one advantage, I guess, if somebody's listening that's going through it, is you do get an opportunity to really give your kids the opportunity to get to know you and you get to know them, because there's way less distractions.
That is so true. I love that. Yeah.
It's very true.
It's a connection. It's just a very different connection.
Yeah. And you do put the effort in more when you only have so much time and you want to make that time really count.
Exactly. Yeah. I've found my daughter will do she's motivated by money.
I mean, who isn't?
So. At that age, 8. She's 8, right? Yeah.
I still am.
My son wants his university money to be a YouTuber. So I feel you. Mm-hmm. He's 9.
Exactly. So I made her a deal. I told her that if she hits a golf ball 100 yards, I'll give her $100. So we have been at the golf course all summer, and she's about 20 yards away from it at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how far? Oh, that's pretty close.
Yeah, she's getting there. She can hit a ball. So I've somehow figured out a way to make my favorite pastime one of her favorites now too. And the quality time you get out there was just the best.
That's where my dad failed. He wanted me to be a golfer, but he never offered me money. So that's where he went wrong.
The joke's on me, I guess, because I offered my daughter an Apple Watch if she got better at her multiplication and division. But now I've signed myself up for like nightly tutoring.
Yeah, that's real fun.
With flashcards.
Yeah.
So,
and you're learning at the same time, but you don't want them to know that you don't actually know the answers.
There are a couple that I don't know. I was like, which was the one that I was really having trouble with? I think it was 12 times 9. It's not in there. It's not, I know it now, but I didn't know it. Anyway.
I'm not quiet for any computational reasons.
Tell me what it is, Erin.
Shut up. Leave me alone.
Is it 108?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's what I was going to say, but he cut me off. Well, Ryder, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And I just love your perspective and your energy and attitude towards the whole thing. It's lovely. And I think it's definitely something people need to hear.
For sure.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. And one more question. Explain your Instagram photo. So you're wearing silver spandex. Is there a Speedo on top?
Yeah, this is a good story. I was hosting the Kokanee Freeride snowboarding event in Jasper.
Could you be more Alberta? Like, seriously?
You even said that with an Alberta accent. Yeah. The way you said Kokanee Freeride was like very Alberta.
So yeah, halfway up the mountain, you host all day with a DJ that worked at the station. And then that night we went to the club and I hosted there as well with all the people that won their way into this event. This is obviously pre-COVID. And I remember having a conversation with a friend and I said like, yeah, I'm just not really feeling like the party thing tonight. I'll go and do my hosting and probably get out of there and get a good sleep. Fast forward about 2 hours and they had the Kokanee Freeride Girls there that are like a dance troupe of 6 girls in these silver spandex outfits. And I was on stage doing a dance routine in one of their spandex outfits while they traded clothes with me and were walking around in
yeah, and like you missed a part in there. How did you get into the spandex outfit?
He didn't really want to party that night.
Yeah, I didn't want to party.
He was just going to head back to his room.
I'm just going to put on the spandex outfit and head to bed.
So the next year I had to stay home and miss it. I had my daughter that weekend. And so I did a photo shoot reminiscing about my time as a Kokanee Freeride Girl. And so I have a bunch of pictures in that spandex outfit of like gardening and pouring a glass of wine in the profile picture.
I think the one of you washing dishes where you're dancing, I think you need to do that in your Kokanee Girl.
Well, I can't outfit. Because it doesn't zip up in the back. So it
could be backless.
All frontal.
I love that you kept it. And you probably at this moment know exactly where it is. Where are you right now?
I'm in Edmonton in my house. And
where in your house are you right now?
It's just like a little office.
Where's the Kokanee outfit?
The Kokanee outfit is upstairs in my room, I believe.
Go get it.
He knows where it is, though. That's amazing.
Definitely know where it is, yeah.
That's good. You got to have a sense of... So sorry, just to clarify, what was on top? Was it a Speedo? Was it a pair of underwear?
It's a full one-piecer.
Didn't you have something over top in your picture?
Oh, yeah. I think I put a fanny pack.
Oh, a fanny pack.
Because it was like really detailed with how tight it is.
Was this before the divorce? Was this the catalyst? Oh, okay.
Oh, good. This is after. Yeah. It'd be a good reason, though. It'd be a very good reason. Your Honor, this photo. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The next time we talk, when you give my bio, I'd appreciate if you include radio host, divorced man, and Kokanee Freeride dancer.
And fanny pack wearer, because that's key information. Thank you so much for making the time to listen. We know you have way too much going on.
If you can spare a little more time, though, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Demarried Life, or visit us at demarriedlife.com for all of our episodes, articles, and lots of other great ideas for living a post-married life that isn't a total shit show.
See you there.